Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this regular meeting of the Tampa Bay Water Board of Directors for Monday, October 20th. The meeting was noticed in the Florida Administrative Register and on the Tampa Bay Water website. The meeting is available for viewing through live streaming, and a recording of the meeting will be posted on the agency's website. At this point, let's rise, and we will ask Vice Chair Hanowitz to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, for the record, let us note that Commissioners Wastel, Peters, and Mariano will not be attending today's meeting. Krista, can we please have a roll call?
Councilwoman Hanowitz.
Here.
Commissioner Davis.
Here.
Commissioner Akers.
Here.
Commissioner Mariano.
Here.
Councilman Miranda.
Here.
Commissioner Oakley.
Here.
Commissioner Wostel. Commissioner Peters. And Commissioner Cohen.
I am here. Thank you. All right, at this time, we are going to take public comment. We have 3 minutes set aside per speaker. 2 people have signed up to speak this morning. The first is David Ballard Geddes Jr., and the second is Mark Clutho. Good morning.
Hi, good morning, sir. David Ballard Geddes Jr. I live on Georgia Avenue in Palm Harbor. Again, Florida Supreme Court case 96332, ratifying the reclaimed water bonds, states that for a flat rate, reclaimed water is available for non-restricted amounts, that non-potable reclaimed water is immune and exempt from watering restrictions, yet defective in the case, statute 403.064 legislates reclaimed water is to be used for indoor use, for direct potable reuse in drinking water, and that reclaimed water is to be metered for actual volume used. As regulated, statute 403.60, Article 4, Section H, subjects us to the jurisdiction of a foreign nation reflected in statute 218.415, Section 16F, allowing this foreign occupation to contrive mortgage revenue certificates against the residents in statute 180.08, tapping the title to our homes in Pinellas County Ordinance 97-103, Section 126.509, taking both our personal and our real property in statute 153.03, Section 5, claiming eminent domain over everything in that which we labor for their development right purposes, carpetbagging us. The reclaimed water variance application clearly states that the applicant literally owes their health, their safety, and their religion. Imagine that, as we're not immune from breathing airborne pathogens transmitted through our sprinkler system. Florida statute 153.20 states that they are just doing their thing. The case is entirely defective. Article 5, Section 3B2 of the Florida Constitution does not pridefully compact water or reclaimed water with other types of utility, nor does it include ad hoc third-party facility bond levies or dictates as seen in statute 163.3167. In particular, the availability fee is a withhold of our vital water supply. The ready-to-serve zone is not for service. In total disrespect of religion, the occupational charge removes our utility wholesale water supply and rate. The facility availability fee denies our access to our essential life-giving water supply and reduces our vital water access into being that of a privilege, violating Home Rule Charter Section 2.02e, Florida Constitution, Article 1, Section 3, and the First Amendment of the Constitution. The facility availability fee in reality is a direct third-party bond levy against our personhood, placing Christianity in bondage as deduced in the 14th Amendment. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Clutho?
Do I get more than 3 minutes?
No, everyone's going to have 3 minutes.
That's how it worked with him. Mark Clutho Largo. This is a joke, a water-wise program. You have a plaque out there, but yet you mutilate all the plants. How is that wise? And this long-term master water plan feasibility program, for you to be using the word master, what a joke. You still have those light bulbs out there shining on the wall. How can you be using the word master? Here's this headline: a tipping point for fossil fuels and the planet. As other nations push to generate more renewable energy, the United States is lagging. And then we have this one here: coral reefs. When ocean environments become too warm, stress coral reefs, beneficial microscopic algae, and it loses its color, a process called bleaching. And what this article here says, it's pretty much all gone, too late. And what you are is complicit. $21 million, your settlement, what a joke. Trump climate report draws scorn of scientists, picking apart findings that soften threat of global warming. And then here, this headline: the world is now unavoidably toxic. What do we do when everything and everyone is contaminated? Well, you know, you idiots, you're complicit. You know, I said back when we had Ed the Twit Taranchik, you need to do that desal, but only with renewable. Solar. When that plant started, it was from burning coal.
Thank you very much, Mr. Clutho.
Yeah.
All right, we are
You
going.
idiots listen, don't you?
We are going to move on now to our regular agenda. Before we go to the well, let's go ahead and go to the consent items. Move approval.
Second.
All right, we have a motion for approval of the consent agenda and a second. All those in favor, please indicate by recording your vote.
Sorry, who was the second, please?
Who was the second?
Oh, thank you. Sorry. What are we doing here? Okay. Sorry.
There we go.
And it carries unanimously.
Thank you very much. Mr. Carden, are there any changes to the agenda
Yes,
before we
sir.
move forward?
I believe on Thursday or late last week, we sent out a supplemental item, B4. It has to do with special counsel contract for representing us in a Polk Regional Water Cooperative administrative hearing request. So I'd like to take that up in order chronologically in the regular agenda, please.
All right, so we're going to go ahead onto our B items, and we'll get to B4 in due time. So at this time, then, we will go to B1, which is the general manager's report, Mr. Carden.
Well, starting off, we will talk about the LFI River permit status, which is related to the item I just mentioned under B4. The district approved our permit to increase our withdrawals on the river from 10% to 19% on late July 22nd. So the permit's been issued, and we have harvested close to 2 billion gallons, and that's the net difference between the 10 and the 19%. The Polk Regional Water Cooperative raised some concerns, and they did file a petition on September 29th challenging the permit increase. And the petition was forwarded to the Florida Division of Administrative Hearings on October 14th, just last week. And so, as I mentioned before, is Tampa Bay Water securing legal representation to respond to the challenge. The Continuous Improvement Program, I wanted to spend a moment with that. We have been embarking on that a couple of years ago. We did purchase some software to help us manage and track these documents. And so far, we have published and revised and updated 350 documents, and 33 are still under review. We have a little bit ways to go, but we've made great progress in doing so. The Performance Audit and Management Study. Today, Baker Tilly will be here on site through Wednesday. They will be conducting some interviews with some of the board members after this meeting, and they will also be interviewing some of the staff members as well. The next assignments, they will be sending out a self-assessment survey to our senior staff, and also the board members and the utility directors will get that as well. They intend to complete the audit in early 2026, and I plan to bring a presentation to this board in February. End of the year true up, it is included under F8, and you can see a chart there. I was told by our CFO that those are the final numbers, so you can take a look at that and see if where you stand after the water year has been completed, and they've done the true up. Wanted to spend a little time on our community outreach. This is a picture of Christina Sackett, who is our CFO. She is speaking to the Girl Scouts attending the Water Conservation Academy at Camp Wailani in Pinellas County. We also hosted a booth at the museum, the Glaziers Museum, their birthday bash, and we engaged in families to talk about local water resources and conservation. This is a picture of Amelia Brown at two different events. The one on the left, she is at the General Federation of the Women's Club of Sun City Center. And the picture on the right, she's presented at the Water Smart Innovations Conference in Tampa recently. This is our engineering senior manager, Justin Fox. He visited Corbett Preparatory School, their 6th grade class. He helped support them and teaching them a lesson on ancient Egypt and their water, how they obtained water. We did participate with Commissioner Chris Bowles recently. He had a community open house to speak with residents about the South Hillsborough Pipeline. And finally, I presented at the Water Supply Summit. It was held in Lee County a couple of weeks ago. They were interested in understanding how Tampa Bay Water became Tampa Bay Water, and so they just were interested in our story, and I got to tell it. And this slide is just a reminder that I am going to be going to each of the member governments to give an update on Tampa Bay Water, and you can see the dates. One has changed from the last time I presented this to you, but I will be starting in a couple of weeks. I will be at Pinellas County first. And that's my report, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Anything for Mr. Carden before we move on to item number B2, which Chuck, I believe, is yours as well.
I'm going to be talking a lot today.
Yeah.
So item B2 is a board policy that I brought to the board, and it has to do with point of connection and how it's established through working with the member government. Point of connections are the location of the metering facilities used to connect our member governments, their water systems to the authority's water system. The POCs, the point of connections, are addressed in the master water supply contract under Section 10. But there is no formal policy existing to establish a detailed framework for submitting and addressing member government's request. So we took a stab, we developed a policy here that I've included to address some of the framework. It's just to add some consistency and make sure that we treat each of these requests the very same way. Over the years, we've kind of done it a little differently by little bits, but I wanted to keep it in a formal setting. There has been, I think, 12 deletions, and we've added 7 since 1998. And so this is just to establish some consistency. After speaking with the board members last week, it became apparent that perhaps I'd like to bring this back and not ask for approval today, but bring it back after some further discussions with the members, doing some more definitions and making sure I've got everything in here. So I'm not asking for approval as it's stated here. I would like to work with each of the members and then bring it back into the future.
Any questions from board members on item number B2? No?
Just real quick.
Yes,
Yeah,
Commissioner Akers.
Chuck, I'm just for the record of assuming that any changes will be brought back and approved by the board.
Yes, that's my intent. I'll bring this back with any changes.
Thank you.
Okay. We're going to move on to item number B3, which is our 2026 legislative program goals and priorities. And Brant Bartlett, Government Affairs Program Manager, will present the item. Good morning.
Morning, Chairman, members of the board. Brant Bartlett, I'm the Government Affairs Program Manager here. I'm going to be presenting agenda item B3, the 2026 Legislative Program Goals and Priorities. This is an action item, and I will be seeking board approval at the end of the presentation. This slide shows the makeup of our legislative team. The team works together to help accomplish the board's legislative and funding goals and priorities. The legislative goals and priorities serve as a framework to help guide the legislative team in these areas and to ensure our efforts advance the agency's mission and help offset the ongoing cost of the capital improvement program projects. The full 2026 goals and priorities are available in the agenda, but in summary, they support Tampa Bay Water's interlocal agreement and oppose legislation inconsistent with its governance structure. They advance funding at the federal, state, and regional level. They advocate for supportive legislation and oppose restrictive legislation. They pursue and maintain partnerships with legislative leaders, agencies, and regional stakeholders. They monitor emerging regulations such as PFAS, and they engage community and industry partners to raise awareness of Tampa Bay Water's investments. Together, all these efforts help our delegation understand how important Tampa Bay Water is as a regional model. With that, staff recommends approval of the 2026 legislative program goals and priorities. And we do have Mr. Peter Dunbar of Jones Walker available via Zoom to answer any questions the board may have.
Any questions from board members?
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilwoman Hanawith, seconded by Commissioner Oakley. Please record your vote.
The motion passes unanimously.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Item number B4, Kelly Fernandez, our general counsel, will take us through this.
Thank you, Chair. I've had an opportunity to brief each of you individually about this requested engagement. And the general manager discussed earlier the lawsuit that was filed against Tampa Bay Water. So this agenda item is seeking your approval to authorize the engagement of Gunster, Yoakley, and Stewart to represent Tampa Bay Water in the administrative lawsuit filed by the Polk Regional Water Cooperative, and also seeks approval of a waiver of conflict for land reserve and farmland reserve. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions from board members? Yes, Ms. Hanowitz.
Hi, yes, Chair. So I just want, for the record, we had conversations about the attorneys, and I just want, Kelly, if you can like explain a little why the attorneys were hired, some of the conflict of interest issues that required us to hire attorneys that may not be in the area, and then some of the representations they have made regarding travel and those expenses, just for the record.
Great. I will try to hit on all of that. If I miss something, please remind me. So we reached out to a couple different firms because of the number of parties involved with both Tampa Bay Water and the things we're involved with, and Polk Regional Water Cooperative and the entities involved with them and what they're involved with. We did have to go through a few firms because some had to drop out with conflicts of interest. So we did determine that Gunster, Yoakley, and Stewart is highly qualified. Their primary attorneys that'll be working, although they have a Tampa area office, the primary attorneys working on this matter will be attorneys that are in the West Palm area and the Tallahassee area. Both those individuals together have a great depth of experience in water law, issues involving very similar to what this administrative lawsuit involves, and also DOA, Division of Administrative Hearings proceedings. So very comfortable, very confident in the representation they will be able to provide to you. Turning to the fees question, they have the attorney that's in the Palm Beach area has family that lives in the Tampa Bay region. She will not be charging any travel to when she's over here representing Tampa Bay Water because of that relationship. And they've also committed to only traveling to the extent necessary. Much of this can be handled by remote proceedings, but they do want to be present, to meet with everyone as well. So I do have the commitment there, very cognizant of this being a governmental entity and keeping costs reasonable. Did I, cover everything? Great.
Thank you. I move approval.
Second.
We have a motion for approval by Councilwoman Hanowitz, seconded by Commissioner Oakley.
Hello, just Chair?
Yes, Mr. Eggers.
Yeah, just for the record, could you just briefly summarize the lawsuit, the premise behind the lawsuit?
Sure, yes. And Chuck touched on this briefly. So we have the increase that we received of a permit for the Alafaya River water withdrawal. The Polk Regional Water Cooperative believes, based on their filing that we have so far early on in the case, that would prejudice their ability to have a withdrawal of their own from the Alafaya River. So that is what we will be determining is what our rights are and versus whether that's somehow harming their rights for the same use of the same river at a different location.
So the downstream versus upstream?
They are upstream, correct.
So,
And I mean, the rules are
pretty clear.
Very, well, I said complicated, it's water law, but yes, we feel very confident in our position is what I will say.
Yeah. Well, the rates we're paying, I'm sure it's complicated. Thank you, appreciate it.
All right,
It's water, it's flowing.
Yes.
all right, we have a motion on the floor to approve. Please record your vote.
And the motion passes unanimously.
Okay, thank you very much. We're going to move on to the C portion of our agenda, action items for our approval. And we're going to start with item number C1, and Chuck Carden, we're back to you.
The item is regarding the high service pump station variable frequency drive project. The high service pump station is located at the regional site in Hillsborough County and is one of our critical infrastructure assets. The project includes replacement of 4 medium voltage variable frequency drives. We call them VFDs. They control the pumps. Refurbishment of 2 of the existing medium voltage VFDs will also be done in this project. And we're going to be replacing the associated instrumentation and control equipment. The purpose of the project is to renew aging infrastructure and enhance our energy efficiency. So we'll be replacing equipment that's more energy efficient and hopefully save some money on our power bill. Staff has negotiated a scope and fee with the top-ranked firm McKim & Creed. They were selected on their qualifications in accordance with the Consultants Competitive Negotiation Act, which is known as CCNA. The proposed scope includes design and construction support services outlined on the slide. And with that, our recommendation is for board approval of the engineering services contract with McKim & Creed in the amount of $1,550,000. That total does include an owner's allowance of $125,000.
And that engineering support service, is it for the actual construction or the services
In
supporting
construction,
the construction?
it's services supporting construction. When we get to the construction phase after the design, they will be assisting us to the finish of the project.
Okay, thank you.
Move approval. Second.
Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Oakley, seconded by Councilman Miranda, for approval of item number C1. Please record your vote.
The motion is unanimous, or passes unanimously.
Okay, item number C2, Mr. Carden.
Yes, this is for the Lake Bridge Water Treatment Plant, pump number 4. It's a construction project that we advertised and procured. It will add an additional pump at the Lake Bridge station, and that therefore will increase the capacity of the pump station. And it is to help meet the needs of the Pasco County's most eastern point connection, which, as you know, is growing quite a bit, along with the South Hillsborough well field. So staff is recommending the contract be awarded to C&T Contracting in the amount of $1,545,255. And that number does include a owner's allowance of $285,000.
Move approval. Second.
Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Eggers and a tight vote, a tight race for second, but I'll give it to Mayor Davis. Please record your vote when it appears.
Councilman Miranda, we need your vote. Passes unanimously.
Okay, thank you. We're going to move on now to item number C3, and this is the South Hillsborough Pipeline, Third Amendment, and this will be presented by Maribel Medina, Planning and Projects Director. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. Agenda item C3 is an action item for the South Hillsborough Pipeline Project. At the conclusion of this presentation, I will be requesting your approval for the Third Amendment to Contract 2023-027 with Garney Companies, Inc., our construction manager at risk for this project. Before we dive into the details of this proposed amendment, I would like to begin with a brief update on the project's current status. This map illustrates the pipeline route, which will be 26 miles long and designed to deliver up to 65 million gallons per day of drinking water to South Hillsborough County. We have reached the 90% design for the pipeline, and to date, several key milestones have been completed while we continue property and permits acquisition and continue our public outreach efforts. The project requires a total of 28 permits. To date, we have applied for 16 permits, including permits required to start construction. This includes the 3 critical permits that are needed before we can issue a formal notice to proceed to Garney. One of those is the Environmental Resources Permit, which has been deemed complete by the FDEP, and we're expecting to receive that permit within the next 2 weeks. The second permit is the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers permit. We are expecting to receive that permit as well within the next 2 weeks, pending the ERP issuance. And the third final permit that we need before we begin construction is the Hillsborough County right-of-way permit, which is still pending, and we continue to work with Hillsborough County's team to make the final permit decision. A delay on any of those permits could delay the construction of the permit, which we are anticipating at the fall next month in November. On property acquisition, the project requires a total of 218 temporary construction or permanent easements. The left pie chart shows the acquisition status. To date, we have obtained 45% of the easements needed. 45% of the parcels are currently going through the eminent domain process. And actually, we're beginning the order of taking process this week. And 10% of the parcels are for easements that are on properties that are owned by Hillsborough County, ELAP, or the Fish and Wildlife Commission. And we're expecting to close on those parcels starting this December. One key note that I want to emphasize is that we have prioritized the acquisition of property to align with the sequence of construction. So once we begin construction in November, you'll be assured that we have the property needed for those activities. This slide shows the total project budget to date. Hillsborough County's portion includes Segment B and infrastructure requested by the county. The guarantee maximum price, proposal number 4, and construction support services have the budget for those have not been determined yet, and we will know more details towards the middle of next year. This is the project schedule. Construction is tentatively scheduled to begin next month in November, pending the acquisition of those 3 critical permits. And we're expecting still to complete the pipeline and have it in service by the late 2028. Now, you have already approved guarantee maximum price proposal number 1 for materials and GMP number 2 for trenchless work. Garney has submitted the 3rd guarantee maximum price proposal for the items included in the slide, specifically for open trench construction, which will occur through the entire pipeline. GMP proposal number 3, the total cost is $216.7 million, with $170.5 million allocated for Segment A and $44.6 million for Segment B. And it also includes $1.6 million allocated to infrastructure requested by Hillsborough County. And with that, staff recommends board approval for the 3rd amendment of Contract 2023-027 with Garney Companies, Inc. for GMP number 3 in the amount of $216.7 million.
Questions from board members? Yeah. Yes, Mr. Eggers.
So the permit, which you've said several times how critical they are to be on schedule, in terms of relative concern with each of them, 10 being extremely concerned and 1 not at all concerned, how do they fall?
Permit number 1, environmental resources permit. I will say that we are really close and we will get that permit within the next 2 weeks. That is a permit that where the DEP has deemed complete, and the permit has been drafted and is going through the final review process at the Southwest District of the FDEP.
Sounds like a 1 or a 2.
And a 1 or a 2.
Okay, good.
On the next one, on the Army Corps of Engineers, I will give you a 5. The Army Corps have deemed Segment A complete as well, but they want to have on hand the ERP permit from the FDEP. So once they get that copy of the ERP permit from the Florida Department of Environmental Protection, the permit reviewer has indicated that he can have a quick turnaround on that.
Okay. But the first permit is pretty secure,
Yes.
which is what they're waiting on for the second permit.
Correct.
So why did you rate it so high as a 5?
I'm rating it high because we are really close, and the Army Corps is under the federal shutdown. So I just want to have my contingency in there.
Well, we certainly have had our issues in Pinellas County
Yes.
with the Army Corps. So
Yes.
I understand. Go ahead. And
And the final one, we feel confident, I'm looking at my team back there, that we will resolve the final permit, which is driven by the county Public Works Department and Traffic Control Departments.
Feel pretty good about that one.
Yes.
Okay, and then the second question is on the easements. It seems like we still have a long way to go. Is that kind of a normal process, or are we behind or ahead?
My team tells me that it's really normal. The 45% parcels that are pending, they all have been going through the statutory process of the eminent domain process. We got really good feedback last week from our legal counsel indicating that the first batch that they filed in court, they're closing already, stipulated. So we're moving along on the parcels that we need to begin construction and get them as we go through the construction process.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Anyone else? All right. We have a motion for approval.
Move approval. Second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Oakley, seconded by Mayor Davis. Please record your vote.
Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. At this time, Mr. Cardin is going to introduce items C4 and C5 together.
Yes, thank you. Items C4 and 5 are related. C4 is a request to reduce the scope and delay the feasibility work for the desalination plant expansion using brackish water. C5 is a request for approval to move forward with the South Hillsborough well field. Both of these projects would withdraw water from the same general areas in southern Hillsborough County and would use credits generated from Hillsborough County's SHARP project. So they are essentially competing for the same water and credits. Danielle Kiersey, our senior project manager, will present on the brackish desal scope, followed by Maribel Medina, who is our planning and projects director, and she will present on the South Hillsborough Wellfield project. After both presentations, we will be seeking approval under one recommendation for both items.
Thank you, Chuck. Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. Agenda item C4 is an action item to reduce the scope for the Tampa Bay seawater desalination expansion with brackish groundwater study, which is part of the feasibility study for new groundwater sources project. As Chuck mentioned, we will be requesting approval of this item at the conclusion of the next presentation under agenda item C5. As you may recall, in November of 2023, the board approved several water supply projects for further study as part of the long-term master water plan. The feasibility study for new groundwater sources project includes the 3 water supply concepts listed on the screen. Today, we are focusing on the Tampa Bay seawater desalination expansion with brackish groundwater. Due to site limitations, the expansion of the desalination plant considers using either seawater or brackish groundwater, but not both. We've already studied the feasibility of expanding the facility with seawater, and the current study focuses on expanding the desalination plant using brackish groundwater from a new well field. Brackish groundwater would be blended with seawater and treated at the existing desalination plant, or treated separately at a new brackish groundwater treatment facility. The estimated yields for either source could be 6 to 11 million gallons per day. The estimated capital costs for this project are $583 million for brackish water expansion and $624 million for seawater expansion. The unit cost is about $12 per 1,000 gallons for brackish water and about $13.17 for seawater. The existing seawater desalination plant and the proposed brackish well field, as labeled on the screen, are both located within the most impacted area of the Southern Water Use Caution Area, as established by the Southwest Florida Water Management District. This area is shown in blue. This means that any new or increased existing groundwater withdrawals, including brackish water, are required to provide a net environmental benefit. To achieve a net environmental benefit, this project would have to acquire additional groundwater credits associated with Hillsborough County's South Hillsborough Aquifer Recharge Program, or SHARP. The South Hillsborough Wellfield is also seeking groundwater in this area and is partially dependent on the groundwater credits provided by SHARP. Maribel Medina will be going into more detail on this project in the following presentation under agenda item C5. Unfortunately, there are not enough groundwater credits available to provide a net benefit for both projects. Since there are no other benefit options available in southern Hillsborough County at this time, and there is a competing project that would yield similar quantities sooner at a much lower cost, staff proposes reducing the scope of the Tampa Bay seawater desalination expansion with brackish groundwater study. The original scope shown included reviewing existing data, confirming the brackish groundwater water use permitting requirements, and performing a preliminary net benefit evaluation to determine the brackish groundwater withdrawals that may be available. Those items do remain in the reduced scope shown in the right column. Reducing the scope will remove the expansion of the desalination plant with brackish groundwater project from consideration to meet the 2033 demands. However, it may be included in future iterations of the long-term master water plan to meet demands beyond the 2033 timeframe. The expansion of the desalination plant with seawater will remain on the list of options to meet the 2033 demands. Reducing the project scope and deferring further study has several benefits. It optimizes the project budget and reduces costs by nearly $900,000. As I mentioned, the project may be considered for further study in the future when there is more certainty on the availability of net benefit groundwater options in southern Hillsborough County. That concludes my presentation, and we can proceed to item C5, or I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions on C4? Mr. Eggers.
Yeah, so this project, let's see, it reduces it by nearly 9. That's if we take the project off the table. How many remaining water project alternatives are being considered for 2033?
In the groundwater study, we're still looking at the consolidated water use permit increase and the Eastern Pasco wellfield with freshwater, not brackish. That's 2. And then there's 3 projects that we're looking at for surface water, so 5.
Okay, thank you.
Do you want to move on to item number C5? Okay. Thank you.
All right, so agenda item C5 is an action item as well. At the end of this presentation, I will request your approval for the South Hillsborough Wellfield as a new water supply with treatment infrastructure, and request that you reduce the scope of the desalination plant expansion with brackish water feasibility study as Danielle just presented. We're bringing the South Hillsborough Wellfield project to you now as we have acquired permits in the area. The new water supply is located where we need it the most, and it is affordable. The South Hillsborough Wellfield has been a potential water supply project since 2018, and public engagement has occurred since 2021. Staff completed a feasibility study in 2021 that included the construction of a production well and an aquifer performance test. The study confirmed the project's feasibility and alignment with the board's 3 evaluation criteria of cost effectiveness, environmental stewardship, and reliability. A second aquifer performance test was conducted in 2023, which validated these results. This project was originally contingent on an agreement with Hillsborough County that included the purchase of groundwater recharge credits via its South Hillsborough Aquifer Recharge Program to provide the net benefit associated with our proposed withdrawals. However, in 2022, Tampa Bay Water and Hillsborough County were unable to reach terms for a long-term agreement in a timely manner, and the project was put back into the long-term master water plan for future consideration. Since that time, this board has approved the purchase or acquisition of water use permits from private landowners, enabling the transfer of water quantities to support this proposed wellfield. We now have at least 3 million gallons of water per day of water on hand with a permit expected next year. We can also increase the yield of this wellfield by 6.1 million gallons per day by purchasing groundwater credits from Hillsborough County. This yield is based on the county's minimum recharge of 10 million gallons per day. The total potential yield of this wellfield could be from 3 to 12 million gallons per day, and it could go up higher if additional permits are acquired or if Hillsborough County increases its aquifer recharge system. Of the 7 water supply concepts shortlisted in the 2023 Master Water Plan, this project stands out as ready for implementation. It is affordable and offers the highest estimated yield. The proposed wellfield could be built in phases as we continue to obtain permit quantities. As proposed, the full well field will include 8 production wells, one of which is already in place and built. The site has demonstrated excellent water quality and will require only ozone treatment for the removal of hydrogen sulfide. It would also include about 4 miles of collector main, a new point of connection with the county, and associated metering facilities. The estimated capital cost ranges from $126.2 million to $166.5 million, depending on the final treatment capacity selected. And the anticipated impact to our uniform rate could be between 8 to 11 cents, depending on the final design or phasing. This chart shows the scale of the estimated unit cost per 1,000 gallons for all the projects currently undergoing feasibility studies. The South Hillsborough well field is one of our least expensive options. And as you can see, expanding the desalination plant with brackish water presented earlier is one of the most expensive options in the portfolio. Beyond being affordable, the proposed well field will provide new drinking water where we need it the most. The well field would be located in the Balm area of Hillsborough County at the intersection of Balm, Balm Riverview, and Balm Boyette roads. The well field and treatment facilities would be located next to the county's new water treatment plant. We're bringing this project to you now for approval because it has many strategic and operational benefits. It is located in an area of rapid growth and development. It's cost-effective. It is expected to face minimal permitting challenges. It has infrastructure synergy, being co-located with Hillsborough County's new drinking water facility and adjacent to the South Hillsborough Pipeline new point of connection. The project has excellent water quality, meeting all state and federal drinking water regulations, and will require minimal treatment. It is environmentally friendly and sound, with a 250-foot thick confining layer that separates the shallow and deep aquifers. What that means is that we do not expect any impacts on the lakes, wetlands, springs, rivers, or any existing legal users in that area. And approving the project now positions Tampa Bay Water to stay ahead of the rapidly increasing future water demands, ensuring timely delivery of the new capacity before critical thresholds are reached. If the project is approved, these are the upcoming activities and anticipated board actions that we will be bringing back in the future. The board will have several updates and approvals in the coming years, but there is one that we will bring to you next month should this project be approved today. That is an agreement with the Environmental Lands and Acquisition Protection Program of Hillsborough County to acquire well sites and easements on the ELAB-owned property in the Balm area. Now, I mentioned the Cone Ranch agreement last month, but we wanted to provide you some additional details and background information. The interlocal agreement that we're proposing to bring in November was contemplated back in 2022 when the board considered the South Hillsborough well field. It was tabled back then when the well field did not move forward. Now that we have acquired water use permits for the South Hillsborough well field, the property agreement is pertinent. This map shows the Cone Ranch, which is on the top north corner of Hillsborough County, and is now known as the Lower Green Swamp Nature Preserve. And this property is owned by ELAB. If approved, half of the South Hillsborough well field will be on the ELAB's Stacy R. White Nature Preserve at the bottom of this map. When the county acquired this nature preserve site, 5 acres were set aside for the South Hillsborough well field. We can acquire these 5 acres at no cost to Tampa Bay Water in exchange for our well field development rights in the former Corn Ranch site. Now, some 25 to 30 years ago, we believed that that well field could yield significant amount of water. However, in 2021, we conducted an analysis and determined that in order to develop the Cone Ranch well field, we will need to spend $30 million to only achieve 100,000 gallons per day. If the board approves the South Hillsborough well field, we will come back in November and recommend that the board enter into this interlocal agreement with ELAP for the easements at the Stacy R. White Nature Reserve property. We believe that this exchange is cost-effective and provides the greatest benefit to our regional water system. In conclusion, the South Hillsborough well field makes the best use of permits in hand and available groundwater credits in the area. It provides the highest yield among projects under consideration at an affordable cost, and it provides water where we need it the most. Therefore, we're recommending the board reduce and defer the scope of Tampa Bay Water's seawater desalination expansion facility with brackish groundwater and approve the South Hillsborough well field as a new water supply and treatment capacity project. And this concludes my
thank you. That was a
presentation.
great presentation. It was very, very informative, and I appreciate all the detail. Is there anyone who has anything additional they'd like to ask or say? Commissioner Agers.
Yeah, thank you. Really good presentation, but, you know, again, you have to dummy it down for me. So we've been looking for a 2033 water project. There've been a number of them. We're saying today that this is the project we want to choose for that project.
We're recommending the early implementation of this project, one of them. We believe that likely in 2027, when we come back with configurations, it will be more than one project that we will be recommending to meet the demands that we will need to meet in 2033.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. And then this project was taken off the list for product cost or credits. I was just trying to understand why it was taken off and at what rate, and where are we now in that negotiation for this part of the project?
Yes, so back in 2022, when this board was about to select the 2028 facility to be built to meet the demands by 2028, we could not reach in time to make a recommendation to the board, a long-term agreement with Hillsborough County. We could not agree into terms. However, since then, we have reinitiated discussions with county, and we have not yet determined a cost. We have not discussed costs, but we are very close in terms of the duration of the agreement. Initially, we wanted to have a 30-year agreement with Hillsborough County, and we have agreed on that term already, and now we are beginning the negotiations on the cost of the credit.
So what was the concern last time? Was it both?
Both.
The cost and the term?
Correct.
So we're okay on the term?
On the term now, yes.
And have we had any discussions on the cost?
Not yet.
Okay. Well, I'm sure there'll be friendly conversations.
Yes.
To make everybody on the board happy.
Yes.
Okay, thank you for those questions. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Are there any other questions or comments? All right, at this time, are we going to take these separately, or are we going to take them together?
I was hoping for one motion to take care of both of them.
Move
Okay.
approval C4 and 5.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilwoman Hanowitz, seconded by Councilman Miranda. Please record your vote.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, thank you very much. We are going to go on now to item D, D1, which is the Regional Water Supply Member Demands and Environmental Conditions presentation. Warren Hogg, our Chief Science Officer, will present that this morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. This morning, I would like to highlight for you the demands and environmental conditions that we recorded in the past fiscal year, 2025, and look ahead into what may be coming for us in water year 2026, which has just begun. This is for your information only, and I will not be requesting any action today. I'll start with rainfall because that pretty much drives our whole system of supply, demand, and environmental conditions. We began the water year in October with an average of 13 inches of rain from Hurricane Milton. And we carried that forward as a benefit for the environment through the following months. After that month, we immediately went into below average rainfall for the next 6 months, But the rain we received in the environment from Milton was the silver lining for that storm. It carried us through river flows on both the Hillsborough and the Alafaya rivers, which fed our water supply system for those months. During the summer, we recorded about average rain for the months of June, July, and August, but there were big gaps between the rainfall events, and they were inconsistent across the region. We received, unfortunately, only an average of 2.1 inches in September, which is about 5 inches below what we normally receive in September. That is making for dry conditions. As I mentioned, the rainfall pattern was really inconsistent geographically, especially in July and August. This shows the total rain received for July through September. September was dry everywhere. So the main difference in our region was really July and August. The coastal communities got quite a bit of rainfall, and the inland areas, which are the headwaters of our river systems, received anywhere from 6 to 8 inches less than the coastal communities. So it was widely different across just our 3-county area. Our region was under no water shortage condition for the entirety of water year 2025. And with the very low rainfall in the month of September, and since this is a 12-month average, we're losing that very high rainfall total in October. We'll replace that 13 inches with maybe 1 inch. So that's going to pull our 12-month rainfall deficit below zero, most likely at the end of October. We've calculated we would need about 7.5 inches this month to remain above a 5-inch deficit. What does that mean for us? It means on November 1st, the data would indicate we are in a phase 1 water shortage condition or a drought alert. We are already working to prepare communication information to talk to our local citizens about the need to conserve water, that a drought is growing potentially in our region, so now's the time to check those irrigation systems. Make sure you're using only what you need. And we are also in communication about this condition with the Water Management District. This shows that our regional rain reservoir is in very good condition. The orange line shows where we expected to be each month at the beginning of last year. We actually had far more water in the reservoir each month than we expected. That's because of the heavy rain from Hurricane Milton. We didn't take water out of the reservoir for a number of months, so it helped us to maintain a very high level going into the spring season. With the rains that we did get this summer, limited as they were, it was enough to help us harvest water from the Hillsborough and Tampa Bypass Canal and the Alafaya rivers, and we achieved an essentially full condition in the reservoir at the end of the water year. As of midnight last night, we were at about 14.65 billion gallons, so we're just a little short of full, which leaves us in a good position for the coming year. For fiscal year 25, we did deliver an average of 198.47 million gallons per day. Our budgeted rate was 209.7. So what we actually delivered on average to you last year was just below what we delivered the prior year. We met that demand with a balance of about 55% groundwater, 41% surface water, and happily about 4 to 5% came from the seawater desal facility. For most of the months in the past fiscal year, we delivered an average that was at or just below what we expected to deliver to each of you. The yellow part of each bar on the right-hand side shows the water that was produced from the seawater desalination facility beginning in December of last year. As we exited the year in July, August, and September, there is no red, which would be water used from the reservoir we're able to store. So for those months, we balanced our source supply from the rivers, from the groundwater system, and the desalination facility. And we're currently, as I mentioned, about 95% full reservoir at this point. The dark blue bars show the average monthly pumping rate from the consolidated permit well fields for each of the last 24 months. We have an annual average permit limit of 90 million gallons per day, which is the black line. The orange line and triangles show the 12-month running average, which is how the Water Management District gauges compliance with our permit. We are quite a bit below the permit limit, but that was by design. We operated last year with high river flows looking forward to the coming spring dry season, and I'll show another graphic in a moment that highlights why. The South Central Hillsborough Regional Well Field, this is the same format. The permit limit is currently 24.95, and we ended the month of September with a 12-month average of 24.71. We've been right around our permit limit for about the last 18 to 20 months. Before then, we were over the permit limit. So we ended the year in good shape for the well field. Looking ahead, our budgeted delivery is estimated to be 209.7 million gallons per day. And as we begin the year, we expect to meet that demand with 56% groundwater, 38% river water, and 6% from the seawater desalination plant. As I mentioned a couple slides ago, we operated the consolidated permit well fields and our whole system with an eye to the coming spring dry season. This shows the projected monthly pumping rate from the well fields and the projected 12-month running average. Since we had a lot of river flow last year, we were able to prioritize that as a source and to create some space under our permit cap. We expect to be close to 90 in June of next year with a spring dry season, but entering the year with a full reservoir, with the desalination facility back online and delivering water each day, we'll manage our resources regionally to remain in compliance with this permit. For the South Central Hillsborough well field, we expect the Water Management District to issue an increase to our permit at their November governing board meeting. And that would raise our permit limit from 24.95 up to just over 26.8. And that's because we acquired unused permit capacity from TECO and from Hillsborough County, and we've transferred it to our South Central well field. So that should give us space under the new permit limit, and we will watch demands and production from the well field as we go through the end of next fiscal year. So in summary, we did receive below average rain, especially in September, and much lower in the interior river basins throughout the summer. We are most likely entering a phase 1 drought alert condition on November 1st. We'll continue to coordinate with each of your staffs and the Water Management District on consistent messaging. Our reservoir is essentially full, and both permits, the consolidated permit well field and the South Central permit, are within their permit limits. South Central is close, but we have relief coming soon. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions? Commissioner Akers.
Yeah, thank you for that report. That was great. I love the word harvesting, you know, that's like we're getting. We harvested 2 billion additional gallons off the river with that permit from 10 to 19%, I think.
Correct.
Did most of that go in, I mean, I guess it moves around all over the place, but is that what's helped our reservoir?
Absolutely. We can't say that each of the extra drops went to the reservoir, but because we had them means we have 2 billion gallons stored that we would not have had. We would be today at about 12.5 instead of 14.5. It's a significant benefit.
And if we hadn't harvested that 2 billion gallons of water, where would that water have gone?
It would have gone to Tampa Bay.
Okay. So it would have just been wasted. in a sense.
For water supply, yes. And when the rivers are flowing in the summer, the bay is receiving the water that it needs. That was the basis of the district's minimum flow establishment. And our 19% take at 75 million gallons a day is fully compliant with that minimum flow requirement.
Thank you. You also had some average numbers on, gosh, I'm trying to find the page now that I lost. I'm assuming we can use those same average numbers going forward. You had a nice projection about our estimated 2026 consumption.
That's correct. How we will meet the sources, that will vary seasonally. We always make projections at the beginning of the fiscal year, and we use those to track how did we do. This chart that we recently started showing, and Mr. Carden explains each month, it's kind of a summary for us. How did we do versus what we projected? We always use this to try to make sure we understand our system well, and we're responding to fluctuations in climate and demand as we need to.
And the only comment I would have is it seems to me, versus where we were last year before, the storms came, that we were in a real precarious position. Precarious is maybe a strong word. And we didn't have the desal plant. We had, the reservoir was way down. And we had some challenges now where the reservoir is up. We have our desal plant. I just get nervous with overusing the word drought too soon and too often, and that it kind of goes numb to folks. Almost went numb to me listening to it, and I'm up here. And so I just wonder about those levels of drought and how we can, I don't know, either redefine the words or give a whole scope of what options are out there for our residents to understand what level of concern this is. Just a comment.
It is a piece of work that we will undertake in the next probably 12 months. We've had some experience with the updated water shortage mitigation plan that was last approved by the board in 2017. We have exercised it twice since then. This will be the third exercise. We need to take those lessons learned, and we know some pieces have already changed for our action and response based on the different levels. So we need to revise that with your staffs in the Water Management District to better define those terms and define the actions and responses that we need to take as a region. We'll be coming back to you probably, it would be at least 12 to 18 months, but that is a piece of work we will undertake.
Well, again, drought gentle or drought severe means a lot different things. So anyway, just thoughts on that. Thank you. Appreciate it. Appreciate their presentation.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Well, I know we're all very grateful that we didn't have any major storm events this summer, but for everything there is a reaction. So we'll keep our eyes on the rainfall over the next month, and I'm sure that every month the board will, take up the information and we'll stay far ahead of what we see coming. One question. The desal number is now generally pretty stable. Can that plant be expanded in terms of its capacity, or is it generally operating at full throttle now?
We've been delivering an average of around 12, sometimes 16. Its capacity is now 20. There is room for future expansion. We left room when we did the renovation, so we still have options that we can take in the future. We're working with our partner TECO on the day-to-day operations, and we will be relying on the desal facility more than in the past. You can see on this graph there's a long expanse of time while renovations were underway that it wasn't available. So as we head into this year, it is back. The racks and the membranes have been rebuilt and are functioning well. So that will continue to be a significant part of our supply portfolio.
But of course, it does cost more than the other sources.
It's expensive, but when you need it, we're really glad we have it.
And that's the most important thing for the public to know, is that we've made those investments, and so we have the ability, as Mr. Ager said, to harvest water when we need it.
And as we have this blended rate of all the sources, if desalination operation goes up, it's really not felt through the rate because it's a percentage of what we produce. That blend is really important for economic stability.
All right, thank you very much. Are there any other administrative matters or old business that we are taking up today? I don't see any. I would note that our next meeting will be on Monday, November 17th at 9:30 a.m. And at this time, may I please have a motion to receive and file?
Move approval.
We have a motion from Councilwoman Hanowitz, seconded by Councilman Miranda, to receive and file. All those in favor, please record your vote.
Motion passes unanimously.
All right, and seeing no further business, we are adjourned.